Hello everyone and a warm welcome to Robins TV Extra Time at the end of a fabulous week for the club. 2 wins and a draw, extending the gap to 7th to 4 points. Bristol City in 5th place in the Sky Bet Championship after the 1-1 draw at Loftus Road against Queen's Park Rangers. More resilience shown by Liam Manning's side, coming from a goal down to equalise through George Earthy and picking up a point on the road, bringing it back to Bristol ahead of the big game against Sunderland on Good Friday. Delighted to say that Leroy, Rosenior and Lewis Carey are alongside me in the studio and watched the game against QPR. Lewis, what were your thoughts as the full-time whistle went?
I think they'd be delighted with a point. It's 4 points out of 2 games. You know, two points a game between now and the end of the season would definitely get you in the playoffs. You know, 2 points a game throughout the whole season gets you promoted. So they'll be delighted with that aspect of it. They'd be delighted going 1-0 behind and getting back into the game, staying in the game and finding a way to grind a result out. I loved the first half. I thought the first half was a really good game of football from both teams at different stages. And then the second half, I think the emotions from the week told on both sets of players. It was a little bit down, a little bit legless.
Leroy, they had to show resilience and character again. They lost Mark Sykes late on, just before the start of the game. They had a pretty tepid start to the game. I think Liam Manning would accept that. They fell a goal back. They're on the road. It's a difficult place to go. QPR were up. They won in the week. But they've come back and picked up another point. Yeah,
and in those conditions as well, when it's hot and you're on the back foot as well and you can't find your energy, it's really difficult to kind of find your way. But, you know, when they went the goal down, and the way this City side found their way into the game is with possession of the ball, is when they get their passing going. And I don't mean just safe passing, and when they get it into the, you know, the 210s, Bird and Earthy, that's when they seem to find their confidence. And slowly but surely, after they went that goal down, there was a 5-minute period before George Earthy got the equaliser where they took control of the game, and that was really important. And then from then on, you know, I think Lewis made a really good point about QPR lacking the energy to really get back. Quite happy at home to sit back, you know, and take the point. I said before they were on 49 points, and it's a big marker, you know, for a player. 50 points, you know, say at the start of the season, you know, heard many managers say to me before the start, a kick of a ball, let's get to 50 points, see where we are, and go from there. So that was a big marker for QPR. You can see they were quite happy, because they knew City technically were a really good side to get men behind the ball and almost just play on the counter-attack.
Let's look at the match stats then. City definitely shading it in terms of possession. Just the 1 shot on target, 1 goal of course, but anything jump out for you there, Lewis?
Probably the fact that the expected goals and the total shots from QPR is quite high. I think that's probably the start of the game. The first 25 minutes, like I said, the game could have been out of sight if it wasn't for some, you know, poor finishing, good blocks, good saves, etc. And then the possession is what I then saw for the next 65 minutes. I thought City then dominated possession, created some decent opportunities, only had the 1 shot on goal. So you would have expected more attempts for the situations in areas of the pitch that they got into second half.
1 offside as well, which was a slightly bizarre one late on in QPR when you could see right across the line. But what does that tell us about the sort of nature of the game? Well,
the nature of the game was played in front of the opposition side, and the teams, especially QPR, wanted to drop off. You know, they wanted to drop off and defend their 18-yard box. Obviously, the goal came from there. Well, they didn't get tight to Birdie, and George makes a really clever run in behind. But they didn't want to give that space in behind because they're not the quickest at QPR. But saying that, you know, I thought, you know, City and Rob Dickie, you know, they try to play high for the most part and control the game. And Rob is really good at just timing his run deep, you know, when to drop off, when to push on. And that gave City the control of the game in terms of their distances, you know, from back to front, really good. So, yeah, no one wanted to run in behind because the opposition didn't let them.
Let's look back at the action then. Lewis, you mentioned that difficult first 25 minutes of the game. We were talking, obviously, before the match, the excitement, the adrenaline coursing through everyone's veins, players, coaching staff, fans, after Tuesday night's incredible scenes at Ashton Gate. I'm not saying there was a hangover from it. You'd expect the home team to come out and be bright, and they certainly were. They created a lot of chances.
They did. They really surprised me. I know they'd be really confident after their result the weekend. You know, it was a couple of fouls there, creating 2v1s on the second post. You could see what they were trying to do at times. And again, balls into the box, just causing a little bit of panic. But what that did was it gave the QPR players confidence. And then they started to play really nice football, and they were running forward as well. Little combinations. This here, I think that's an excellent opportunity You know, either run around the ball and take it with the instep of your right foot or finish it quick with your left foot. But again, Max does what he has to do, and that's make the save. But I felt it was too easy to put balls in behind like this. It was too easy for QPR to run forward in the first half. You know, their talented players were getting turned on the ball and they were picking out passes. And it was down to, in my opinion, it's down to City being, you know, off the pace a little bit. Like this, look, there's no one ever near the ball. So it's too easy to roll it in feet and combine and run forward. No one's blocking runners. Here, the drop off. You see people drop it. So it becomes too easy for them to pick passes and find a way into the box. And then for the smallest player on the pitch to have a free header, he has drifted off a midfield runner. I appreciate that. But if we watch from this angle, I know Leroy spoke about it at half-time. But as you see Dembele here move into follow the play and move off the back of Zach, I think he got enough time to see him. And also, there's no reason for Zach to step forward towards the penalty spot or left side of the pitch, if that makes sense, because there's nobody stood in there. So I think... personally, I think he should stay with him, and like Leroy suggested, also Hirakawa stay up. In line with Zach, and you probably stop that. But there was no pressure on the ball. So because there's no pressure on the ball, it's too easy for talented players to pick people out. And they scored. They went 1-0 up, and then I just thought the game changed. I thought that Bristol City dominated the game for the rest of the 65 minutes.
Yeah. Disappointing one to concede, wasn't it? Dembele, we'd seen is it almost assist there for Harrison Ashby in early chance, and then he started that move that we've just seen and was able to sort of float through, really. Yeah,
just drift into that area, and it was almost like a training game. You know, you saw the way they passed the ball. Every time somebody received the ball, they're in a couple of yards of space, and they found a simple pass. That little quick play in around the halfway line, they just ran off the back of City players to get into that area, and then the cross. You know, Lewis is absolutely right. You know, anybody. You know, you can ask anybody. You know, I could stand there, no pressure, and cross a ball now at my age, even my dodgy knees. And so you've got to get tight. You've got to put pressure on the ball, and that's what was lacking. You know, from City. And it was about the conditions. It was about the maybe a little bit of a hangover from that performance against West Bromwich Albion, but they got over it, and Lewis is right, they got back into the game and they dominated from there on.
So this is where City got a foothold in the game. As you said, first 25 minutes slightly off colour, but then what do you think changed?
I thought their care on the passing, the shorter passing, finding teammates, earthy in pockets of space, find space unbelievably well. Hirakawa running forward. There was loads of little bits. It was also Williams and Knight becoming 2 sixes and finding lots of space. And they would end up. They found it easier in the end, to find the free player that made a QPR player jump to then find the 10s. But in these sort of situations here, they overloaded the wide area. And I think it's McCrory makes an inside run. Defender goes with him, they chip the pass to Pring, and then they keep the ball, but they've got an overload in that area. But Bird's little touch on the inside, if you watch Bird's little touch here, as the ball comes back in the play, this is because Pring's the left centre-back, look, so they've got an overload, but this little touch, shift the ball there, and then the outside of the foot, and the time of the run from George Earthy to run off the back of the centre-back, where you can't be seen and you can't be touched, you can't be fouled. And then the little one-touch finish with the outside of his right foot as the goalkeeper comes out is exceptional. You get a brilliant angle from here, brilliant view from here. Sorry, the little there, understanding where the keeper is, and then taking it before the keeper can set was brilliant.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that they're all 2-touch. You know, Pringy, Knight all played 2-touch. And when they had 2 or 3 touches, it allows people to get back into good defensive positions. And they played nice and quickly in and around the box. Yeah, 2 touches for Bird just to sell it up, just to get the timing of the run from George Earthy, but to get into that position with Max Bird in space, they've played 2-touch, and that's what you ask as a coach. You say, like, in and around the box, can you play 2 or 1 touch to create that space? And they did that really well. 13
passes in that move. You know, it was a high-quality goal.
It was a brilliant goal. Yeah. We've seen one away at Preston, and you know that would be how Liam Manning wants his team to play. Now, at times they didn't play out from the back to get into that position. Today they played, longer from goal kicks and then played football in that area of the pitch. And when they moved the ball quickly, like Leroy said, then 2 touches, they were a threat all game.
George Earthy was picking up some nice positions in that first half. The second half, again, pretty bright. Then as the changes came in, and like you say, it became a bit stop-start, he actually moved places. He was in a right wing-back role. Shows his versatility, his flexibility, his quality, his first touch is something to really admire. But he nearly got into a bit of trouble on his own byline.
He did get into a little bit of trouble, and this is just after the changes were made. He's gone back, good defensive position. George Tanner's in a good position, but George Tanner's looking for a pass in front of him, and he turns the other way. Gets caught out by a little shove, which the referee doesn't see, and City get away with it. And you know what? George Tanner's got to just drop off as well. In terms of just being in a better defensive position, because he takes himself right out of the game. Expects him to find the pass. You've got to be pessimistic as a defender in that situation. We'll drop off him so he can take a ball back and hit it up the line. In terms, he's still trying to play out. He's almost doing an overlap in his own box, and George gets caught out. And those things happen. But I must say that the players in the box, when you're in that situation, the likes of Dickey, they all stayed on their feet and they just kind of adjusted their positions, and just shuffled around just to force that last pass that he couldn't quite find the target. So it was decent defending. Even though they didn't get a touch of the ball, they all stayed on their feet and just made sure that it was a difficult pass. I think it was Yang who was trying to have the final shot, but yeah, they got away with it.
Lewis Lee Manning said after the game, just slightly off it, City, which you'd expect at the end of a busy week, but showing that resilience. And they got into, we're going to see now, they got into positions, Campering obviously playing as left-sided centre-half, but still advancing, getting into good positions. It was that final killer ball, which actually has echoes of the reverse fixture back in December. Same scoreline, City getting into good positions, but just not applying the killer touch.
Yeah, I think whenever you get into the final third of the pitch, we all know, and listen, that's how Leroy made all his money, isn't it? But like scoring goals or creating goals, that's why those players get paid the most money. It's the hardest thing to do in football. And I think there's situations that Bristol City got in, and it's the decision that he made in the final third that was slightly off. I think at times you can hit the ball across the boxes sort of as hard as you want. This was when I think Campering then now moved to wing back. But when you're in these sort of areas, I think you can do that, right? But the chances of somebody arriving on it is pretty much zero. Whereas if you're out sort of in the wider areas, to just have a little chip pass into the box, to leave it in there, just a little soft little chip pass to allow people to arrive into the box to meet a header. Or I think when you're in those positions, you have to start finding the space or a teammate.
I just wonder if we could see that run those again. I don't know if he can run them again, because as a centre forward, when Cam the first one, he gets into position when he goes back, he should take another touch towards the 6-yard line. Instead of he's taking the defender out of the game. So as you take that touch along the line towards the 6-yard line, this one I can understand him trying to fire it in because he's under pressure. You see, as the ball comes to him, is that the defender thinks he can get there, and he puts him under pressure. So I can understand him trying to fire that in, but still, it's got to be a softer pass. He's got to leave him in there. But for wide players to get in that position when Lewis is behind me, I just take him out of the game. And once you take that other touch, what it does to defenders in the box, it takes them out of the game, and you just pass it into someone's feet for a tap-in. So that's why it's such a really good opportunity. And he turned it into a terrible opportunity by just firing it across. And that's where the quality has got to come. And it's quality of thinking, because he's got the technique. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So he's got to make sure that his thinking is spot on in those situations.
At times, even there, it's a pass. It's a pass to Naki Wells, and it's a tap-in.
Yeah.
There's 4 shirts to hit in both of those opportunities.
Exactly, which is why we said they got to make the most of those situations. 4 in the box and somebody crossing is like that. That's big numbers.
And, and it's take it to the 6-yard line, and it's a 10-yard pass. And that was a big opportunity. It doesn't seem like it as a centre forward. I think I'd go ballistic. You take a touch and just give it to me, and I'll tap it in from 5 yards out.
And expected goals then starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Next half chance, courtesy of Anis Mehmeti. It was a lovely ball into him. It couldn't quite, bring it under his spell, I guess.
Yeah, we didn't get a replay on commentary, so it's tough to see. But I thought the initial play here, so Naki comes short, so then the 10's running behind. And the pass, the weight of the pass is beautiful. And it's there for you just to, the weight there, just to take it in front. And you take that in front of you, you take both of those players out of the game and you finish. There's even an opportunity maybe for a one-touch finish, probably a bit tough. But
yeah, that would have been a bit tough. But Naki does brilliantly. Lovely
spin again, isn't it? It's like against West Brom.
Yeah, and the spin again, and then the run from Scott Twine as well. So there's 2 forward runs, clear the space. He's just got to really take a touch and hit it. That's all he'd be thinking. But he's unfortunate; he gets stuck under his feet.
City brought basically all their attacking options on. We saw Twine Armstrong against his former side. Sam Bell came on as well, and he had an opportunity. Well, again, it's sort of a half chance, isn't it? Really, they're not absolutely clear cut at this.
Yes, so there is no chance from it in the end. It's the what you're creating. The situations. A brilliant ball from Williams on the inside shoulder at the fullback. I think Belly's header's really good. He doesn't loop it, so the goalkeeper can catch it. But like Leroy touched on now, the movement of the the two players, it's the same.
Is there a foul on Mehmeti there? That was my question to Leroy.
Well, I don't think so, because I think it's difficult for referee. But I think Scott Twine, he's got to be aware. He's got to get middle of goal because he's first man. And I think, I would always say, get middle of goal, and then you see the Naki is down that line for anything that comes back towards the penalty spot. But somebody's got to finish on that penalty spot, and you think from there it's got to be Twiney. But
he's got to bend his run there.
He's just got to finish run behind the defender.
Well, the steal shot there is perfect to see. So Mehmeti's goal side, right? He gets a tap-in, or it's a penalty. Twine, he's got to run off the back of the other lad for when it comes across the 6-yard box. And if you look at Wells's man, what's he naturally going to do? He's naturally going to go and defend his goal.
Yeah.
So stand still on the penalty spot. In those 3 areas, you cover those 3 areas of the pitch, and you'll score a lot
goals. Yeah, exactly. But the two of them are covering that near post area, and it's unlucky. It's a great header. I think that's all Sam Bell can do.
Yeah.
The keeper gets a little touch, and unfortunately, it's not a midfield player coming on to stick that in the back of the net.
Well defended, I suppose, by QPR. They'll take that, but they nearly caused themselves no end of trouble with this bit of play that Naki Wells stole in and took around the keeper, but ultimately, unfortunately, couldn't finish.
Yeah, I mean, their best player on the ball was Edwards at the back. I think they signed him from Peterborough, and he was really confident at the back. He's the one who tidied things up. And you just see him here, it's a lackadaisical outside of the foot, and he doesn't quite catch it. Naki just reads it brilliantly. And he's unfortunate there that he doesn't get that on target. He's again, that's all instinctive with Naki. He knows what he's going to do before he even gets there. Touch and finish, does everything right, but it's a tight angle, doesn't quite catch it correctly.
2 in 2, though. He's got 10 for the season. The form he's in, I thought, when he got round him.
Yeah, and I liked it as well, because I like the short touch, because I think you go touch finish. So it doesn't allow people to recover onto the line. But he sort of slightly comes down on the top of the ball, doesn't he? And don't quite make the goal line, unfortunately.
One other thing you want to pick out, Leroy, I think, from the game, if you're watching in Japan, turn off.
Yeah, I think it's
going to lose viewers.
Well, no, we're not. No, we're not, because it's outrageous, absolutely outrageous. It's not good enough, and something needs to be done about it. I think we've all agreed that we're going to sign a petition, have it sent to Liam Manning, that this cannot happen anymore, and this is it. It's you, Hirakawa, taking throw-ins. He's the worst throw-in taker. Watch this. Foul throw. Again, I think that's the 3rd or 4th one, isn't it? I think we're going to have a little petition. And I don't think Liam's going to allow him to take any more throws. But you know what? Just get up the line and do your business where you do it, you. But no more throws for you. Not having it.
See, I think he should work on them, because I think it was Cruyff said years ago, wingers and stuff, you take the throw-in the final third, because when you take the throw and the ball comes back to you, you're the dribbler, rather than the fullback who just can kick the ball in the channel. Yeah, you know what I mean? But
you want him to work on it?
I want him to work on it.
I don't want to see him take another one. I don't want to see him take another one ever again.
Fair enough. Petition in the post. Good day for Rob Atkinson. Just a note on him. 2 goals for Pompey. He also scored 1 at the other end as well. But a good day all round, and actually just a good week around the club. And as things stand, it's all teed up nicely for Friday. At the moment, anyway, it's a dress rehearsal for the playoffs.
It is, and Friday, Good Friday. 3 o'clock kick-off. And again, Ashton Gate's been only lost 1 game at Ashton Gate this season, haven't we? And Ashton Gate is an absolute fortress, but it's a really enjoyable place for the players, isn't it?
Yeah, the energy around the place, the energy around the place, just Bristol. You've seen the crowd today. I thought the crowd were magnificent throughout the whole game. When you got the headphones on, you could just hear them singing all game. And there's a buzz. And I think, 2008 is it? Last time we got in the playoffs, so it was a long, long time. So something that everybody's excited about at the moment.
Lewis, Leroy, thank you ever so much for your time.
Yes.
And thank you for watching Robins TV Extra Time. Pleasure having you along. 4 games to go, 4-point cushion. Should be a good Friday as Sunderland come to the gate. We'll see you then.